Good morning. You are listening to WCEG Radio.com. I welcome and thank you be on present to listen our topic today. You can see and connect with us through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Smart TV, and other apps. You can check and connect with us. Thank you so much. I want to let you know the content of opinions of this program are not responsibility for WCEG Tal Radio. So, like I say, today is a very interesting and important topic. And before I start, I want to let you know that the information provided today is not legal advice. It's just a guide to prepare you in order of these events that have been happening around on our communities, immigrant communities. And with this, I want to let you know that it's not only Hispanic, Latin American community that has been targeting, but also other communities like India, Pakistan. We can name a lot countries around the world. Um, so we're gonna have the opinion for an attorney in a minute, but I want to start with this that I have been listening a lot. There is a lot panic for the events that has been happening, and I am not gonna say that it's an exaggeration for our actions again, between the immigrant community. But also it's very true that we have to, in this moment, we have to have a cold mind to see what is our next actions in case something happened to our family or a member of our family. So the first thing is start making a second plan. What can happen if this happen? What are gonna do? So you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare your family. Talking with them, having a lot conversation with your children. Don't panic because you have to stay strong in your thoughts, and think on your next move. And it is very important to collect all the documents you have, especially for those people who has already pending um, application with immigration. So if you have approval letters, carry with you so you can show, in case an officer approach to you. So we already have Attorney Melanie. Can you hear me, Attorney? Okay.
I can,
Welcome.
Ramona. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, this program, I want to focus on the rights that immigrant communities have around the events we have been living. And I was telling, one of the things that we don't need, well, we have to try to not get in panic for what is happening and try to think what is our next move. But in your opinion, I was telling also that it's very important to collect all the documents, especially for the persons who have pending cases with immigration. Carry with them the approval notice for any remedy they apply. But in your opinion, as an attorney, Ms. Melanie, what is the general advice for these communities? For our community because I'm immigrant too.
Yes. Understood. Okay, so definitely I know everybody is in a panic and I can't even say don't panic because everyone is panicking. But right now the best thing is to do is be prepared. Okay. So it's not the time to just panic and do nothing. It's the time to be prepared, meaning get all of your documents together. So there's certain different types of, I'm saying, immigrant communities that this is kind of affecting. Okay. So you have your undocumented immigrants, and then you have those people who have pending cases that are technically undocumented, but they have a way to get a green card. Okay. So they have a way to get legal status. And then you have other, immigrants that have their green cards. Okay. So it's a lot of different, like segmented, areas of the population that are being, you know, affected by this. So let's start first if you are undocumented. Okay. So if you are undocumented and you are undocumented in the United States more than 2 years. So you've been living in the United States for 10 plus years. Okay. 5 years, whatever, after more than 2 years. You need to make sure that you have documentation to show that you have been living in the United States more than 2 years. Reason being is because if you've been living here more than 2 years, then you have a right to due process. So you have a right to go through the actual immigration procedures and not just be expeditedly removed. So that could be things like, you went to the doctors, 3 years ago, or the birth of your children, birth certificate or medical bills, anything you entered into a new lease, anything to show that you've been here more than 2 years. I would definitely have those copied. Okay. And then not only have them with you physically in a nice little folder, file, envelope, whatever it may be, but also have those documents, give them to a United States citizen, give them to somebody in the US that you trust in case you are detained. Because then when you hire a lawyer, now the lawyer has that information and will be able to figure out your options in getting you out of detention. Okay. Now, those are for people that have been here for more than 2 years. Um, and also too, I want to say this much. So, obviously the normal things, the birth certificates, if you have a work authorization, if you have, if you might have a driver's license right now, if you have a pending case, you might have, driver's license, work authorization, things like that. Just anything that you can have it copied, photocopied, and keep it with you and have it with a US citizen. Now, if you are here and you've been here less than 2 years, you are more susceptible to immediate removal. Okay. And it doesn't even have to be that you have a criminal history or anything like that. It's just the fact that you've been here less than 2 years, which allows for immediate removal. And what people I think are failing to realize is that this is technically it's not anything new that's happening. It's just the fact that the new administration has made it such um, you know, a hate type of thing, okay? And he's made it his mission, what I'm saying, to get this done. And it's so, sensationalized and in the news, that people are thinking that this is more than, what has happened in the past. And technically it's not. It's just the way that they are going about doing it. So less than 2 years, I would say things like, don't be driving. You know what I'm saying? I know you got to get around, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a driver's license, you've been here less than 2 years, you could have a family, you could have kids, you could have a wife, and if you get pulled over, you're getting put in detention, and you possibly will be expeditedly removed. Okay, so just stay low. You know what I'm saying? Like I know you got to do what you got to do, but there's Uber, there's Lyfts, what I'm saying? Have other family members drive you around, things like that. Do not drive if you don't have a driver's license, especially if you've been here less than 2 years. Um, and then, of course, if you are a green card holder, if you have legal status, you've been here forever, you have your green card, maybe you just haven't become a citizen. Make sure that you always have your green card on you. Don't leave home without it. And if for some reason you've lost it, get with an attorney so that you can renew it and get a new copy. Make a copy of the one that you have, put it in your phone. Make sure that someone in the US, a US citizen, has a copy of your green card, has a copy of your work authorization, has a copy of your birth certificate, any papers, your entries and your exits, maybe even with your like your I-94 to show that you're able to come back and forth and travel, things like that. So that's if you're a green card holder. Now, let's talk about if you have a pending case. This is the one that's kind of sticky because at the end of the day, ICE is still taking people and it's sad, okay, even if you have a pending case. But once again, like I said, the best thing to do is just be prepared. So if you have a pending case for any type of legal status here in the United States, you always want to carry your paperwork with you. If you already have an approval and you're going through another process, make sure that you have your approval letters with you. Make sure that you have copies made. Make sure that, you have your lawyer on speed dial. You have your lawyer on a piece of paper that you carry around with you in case they take your phone. Make sure that you have your approvals given to any US citizens, people that you trust, things like that. So any approval notices, if you don't yet have an approval notice, let's say you just started the process, your receipt notice, because your receipt notice shows that you are in the process, that they have received your documents and you're waiting on an approval. So make sure that you have your receipt notices with you.
Yeah. And yes. And I want to talk about families. For example, a father is detained. A mother is working and God don't want this, but also is detained. How families can prepare right now with children? How they, where they, I know with family, but legally, how they
Mhm.
can prepare on that case?
You definitely want to reach out to an attorney so that you can get things like a power of attorney. Okay, so that you can get things like a medical directive, all of those legal documents. And basically, what you're doing is you are assigning someone else the responsibility for your children if you are to be detained. So that person will be able to go into the school and pick up your children. You know what I'm saying? That person will be able to any, medical, needs that your child may need, things like that. They will be able to care for your child, you know what I'm saying, until this gets figured out. So those are the type of things that you definitely want to look into as of like now. Power of attorneys, guardianships, medical directives, things like that. And the attorneys that handle things such as those are like state planning type attorneys, probate attorneys. So definitely reach out and get those documents in order. And once again, too, like I said, all birth certificates, all, major forms of, documents for your kids, your children, things like that. Make sure that someone else has access to those.
Mhm. And in case there is a check-in on a workplace, what are the questions or how people can defend themselves, what they need to know to in case have to face a immigration officer.
So if there's a workplace raid, one thing that everyone needs to know is that you are still on US soil. Okay, so even if you are undocumented, you have the constitutional right to remain silent. That is because you are here in the US, doesn't matter your status. So don't answer any questions. Don't tell them what your status is. Okay, the only thing by law that you have to answer is your name. You got to tell them your name. That is it. You don't have to tell them your status. You don't have to tell them where you were yesterday, what you had for dinner. You don't have to say anything. And you can legally say, I am exercising my right to remain silent.
Mhm. Yeah, and we have seen sometimes, if an police officer see people walking or a person walking, sometimes for reasons, they stop them
Mhm,
in the street. In
mhm,
this situation, how people can, act, because I know many people, react to the
mhm,
actions, and that
mhm.
may worse the situation. They can be charged also for more aggravate the situation. How in this situation, how people can, act.
So don't run. Obviously, if you run, you look guilty. You're running because you're probably scared, but don't run. And like I said, be respectful, okay? And The only question that you have to answer is your name. If they ask you who you are and what is your name, you tell them your name. If you have a driver's license on you, because you might have a driver's license because you might be in the process or things like that, give them your driver's license, give them your identification. But you do not have to answer the question of what is your legal status.
Mhm.
Once again, the same thing. Verbally say, I am exercising my right to remain silent.
Mhm. Yeah, and there is just a scramble right now happening, and people don't know where to call, who to call, or who to trust. What is your advice for a person that is in this, unexpected situation? Because right now the problem is a lot misinformation, but also a lot fraud for people who don't don't are paralegals or attorneys. What is your advice? I know it's very uncertain, and give a, a specific answer because it's very difficult. But because the emergency for people is living this, what is your advice? What are the things that they have to look and see if this is true or not?
Um, That's a difficult question. So first and foremost, what I would say is you need to have a trusted immigration attorney, someone that you trust, like I said, either on speed dial, a telephone number, on a piece of paper, or that number with your spouse or your children, or someone in the U.S. that you trust in case you are detained. And when I say trusted immigration attorney, because at the end of the day, no, all of us are not the same. But you need to do your investigation now. Like find that person that you trust. Go ahead and maybe have some consultations with some attorneys right now so that you can get a feel for them and how they think and things like that to know whose number you're going to have in your pocket with you if something happens. Um, it, Paralegals, notarios, all of those type of things. Like right now is not the time to go to someone that does not have that legal knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like right now is the time that you find an attorney that you trust and make sure that that person is the one that, is going to be there for you when something happens.
Mm. To verify this information, where you have to go, because I understand, and it's my advice for everybody, go to, investigate if this is accredited. So where they have to go.
You Google, like you Google immigration attorneys, you look at their websites, you look at their reviews, you look at how long they've been in business, I mean, you start asking around because in our communities, everyone talks, you know what I'm saying? So somebody that's going to have, somebody that they trust, as a lawyer, that they always reach out to. But you just do your due diligence first. Don't wait to the last minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And before time runs, Miss Melanie, can you provide us with your information, where they can find you, for a consultation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So my main office is in Lawrenceville, Georgia. My telephone number is 678-250-5449. My website is www.lagronelaw.com. Right now, we are actually doing some tweaks to it, so it will be back up. So I am still legit, you guys, but the website is down for a minute. And I'm on all social media at LaGrone Law. And one thing about my social media is I have a lot of videos on all of these questions that you asked. So, people can go look at my videos, get the information from there as well on what to do.
Mm-hmm. And one of the questions I have for a person I know is, um, you know, most of the uh, immigrants, persons coming to work and build life, uh, a lot already have building houses, many have business, properties, belongings. Um, in if a person is detained, what's gonna happen with all of this if they don't have, other person that can take care or sell or, for this? How, what is the preparedness these persons have to have?
Mhm. Well, it just depends on if they have, well, first of all, we already know that if you have been here for that long, you've established community. You know United States citizen people, you've got friends, you know what I'm saying, things like that, even if you don't have, family. That's where the power of attorneys come in, because those will allow somebody else to be able to go to your bank for you. Those are what allows someone else to be able to do financial transactions and things like that on your behalf if you are detained and can't do it on your own. Or even if you're deported, because at the end of the day, if you're deported and you have all of those assets and things like here still in the US, they're just going to sit. What's going to happen to them? You need to have somebody else be able to take over. And that's a legal document that needs to be prepared.
Mhm. And legally talk, it's a lot to cover and it's very
Hmm.
difficult and complex because immigration law is always changing.
Hmm.
But a person who is deported for this situation and has been living for 30 years, 35 years, um, in his country, her country, there is a possibility to come back.
There is a possibility to come back. It just depends on why you were deported. So, being deported for criminal activity versus being deported simply because you're here without status. So if you're deported and because you're here without status, you have to stay in your home country for over 10 years. And then if you have a legal way to come back, meaning if you have, United States citizen children, or, you might even still have, a US spouse or something like that, then they can petition for you and start like the process from there. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. Can you repeat again your information, attorney?
A- Absolutely, absolutely. So it's LaGrone Law. I'm attorney Melanie LaGrone. Everybody calls me Attorney Mel. My telephone number is 678-250-5449. And I'm on all social media at LaGrone Law.
Thank you. And because I'm gonna translate in a minute, what is as a person who work in the community but also attorney, what is your general advice for people in this situation?
My general advice is being prepared. That is what I have been like from day one when we actually knew that he won the presidency. I was telling everybody, get prepared because we already know that there's so many undocumented people in the United States, okay? And they've lived their life just not worrying about, you know what I'm saying? Just kind of like flying under the radar, not really worrying about too much. I'm just going to do my job. I'm going to go home. I'm going to take care of my family, things like that. And I said, now is not the time to put your head in the sand and just be like, everything will be okay. Okay. I love to live my life like that, like everything is going to work out. But at the end of the day, you have to be prepared. And, all of those fears that, had come up, in the last 20 years, reasons why they didn't want to reach out to an attorney. They didn't want to, you know, let anybody know that they're here. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. Like now is the time. You got to be prepared. So get everything in order that you need to make sure that your family is okay. If something happens to you, your children are okay. And you just be prepared. Get your documents together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also want to add because I know, right now many people is panicking and especially thinking from the night to morning, look for an attorney, an immigration attorney is very difficult, really is very difficult right now. And the fear or the concern to find a very good attorney that not gonna or person that not gonna
Mhm.
come and get your money and don't do anything is big right now. So I also want to add, look for a nonprofit organizations that work with immigrants. A lot of them have attorneys. At least if they not gonna provide you a legal assistance, but you can get information or education on what you have to do, how you have to be prepared in case something happen, you know. So yeah, thank you so much, Attorney Mel.
You're very welcome.
Can you write down your information on Facebook or on the chat to put on Facebook so people can have, you know, a highlight where to go or where to call? Thank you. And so I'm gonna translate while you doing this for our Latin and Hispanic community. Buenos días a todos. Muchas gracias por estar aquí hoy este sábado. Y pues desafortunadamente este importante tema que vamos a tocar hoy es acerca de lo que ha estado pasando con inmigración y nuestras comunidades inmigrantes, no solo latinas o hispanas, pero también otras comunidades como son comunidades como India, Pakistán, Afganistán, muchas de nuestras comunidades que están sufriendo por esta situación. El tema de hoy específicamente es hablar de cómo protegerse y cómo prepararse. Lo primero es prepararse, juntar todos sus documentos, hacer un segundo plan de lo que ustedes harían o van a hacer, se tiene que hacer en una situación de que pase. Ustedes saben que Dios no lo quiera para nadie. Una situación donde migración venga, los detenga, es un proceso largo, y muy pesado para las familias, para los hijos. Este, y la primera cosa es juntar sus documentos. La segunda cosa, en caso de que lleguen a ser detenidos, no dar información, no firmar documentos que no entienden. Mucha de nuestra gente no entiende bien el inglés. O si lo entiende a medias y a veces documentos legales es muy complejo el vocabulario, entonces no firmen documentos, la presión es mucha, por eso tratemos, es tonto decirlo de mi parte, perdón, pero tratemos de estar en calma, tratemos de pensar con la cabeza fría, no firmen documentos, manténgase en silencio. Hablaba con attorney Melanie, no. En caso de que migración venga y busque en sus lugares de trabajo, no corran, no corran. Simplemente pregunten si no hay problema, si está bien y váyanse. No presente documentos falsos, eso también sería un agravante a la situación. Si están en su casa, no abran la puerta. Ahorita muchas organizaciones sin fines de lucro, entiendo por algunas personas, abogados privados también, están trabajando con la comunidad, proveyendo información, probablemente no asistencia legal, pero información sobre las diferentes situaciones y los materiales, la información que ustedes deben de tener. Para prepararse en caso de un encuentro con migración. No abran la puerta. Hay circulando unas tarjetas sobre sus derechos. Péguela fuera de su puerta. am, Arrímense a organizaciones sin fines de lucro que trabajan con migrantes, con la comunidad migrante. Ellos están ofreciendo muchos talleres de preparación, dando mucho asistencia realmente y de mi parte les agradezco a todos. Porque hay mucha gente que no sabe qué hacer, no sabe a dónde ir, no sabe a dónde hablar en una situación de estas. Y pues necesitan prepararse, estar preparados por cualquier cosa. Ah, la abogada Mel estaba platicando también, y si es verdad, si nos ponemos a reflexionar un poco, estas situaciones han pasado, no me recuerdo bien, pero creo que fue en el 2020, alrededor 2020, 21, no me recuerdo bien, también hubo una situación así. Este, han pasado antes, pero ahora por las acciones tan drásticas que se han tomado, se está notando más. Y creo que parte de esto, no vamos a ir a política, sino acciones y hechos que están pasando, pero esto se ha hecho de una manera tan dramática que ha dispersado el temor, el miedo, el pánico excesivo de las personas y es entendible. Es entendible porque no queremos que nuestro padre, nuestro hermano, nuestro esposo se vaya o viva en una situación así porque la familia entera la vive y es doloroso, es frustrante y, y nadie lo quiere. Pero necesitamos mantener la calma. A base de ese pánico hay mucha mala información que no es correcta, personas que no son abogados, personas que no son paralegales, personas que solo buscan lamentablemente un beneficio monetario a lo mejor y también de maldad, porque no es bueno tampoco infundir pánico en la comunidad, se está haciendo. Entonces, buen consejo, mal consejo, y con respeto les digo, mantengan la calma, hagan su segundo plan, prepárense. La abogada hablaba sobre un ellos le llaman power of attorney, un poder que ustedes le dan a algún familiar, algún amigo, alguna persona de confianza sobre quién se va a quedar con sus hijos. ¿Quién va a cuidar a sus hijos en caso de que una situación así pase? Si personas que tienen sus negocios, sus propiedades, sus casas, ¿a quién van a dejarle ese poder para que pueda manejar la situación con sus propiedades? Entonces, eso es algo también importante que necesitan añadir al segundo plan. Y otra cosa, hablen mucho con sus hijos sobre las situaciones para evitar traumas con los niños, para que ellos sepan, yo sé que es delicado, pero para que ellos sepan qué situación está pasando en caso de que la situación esté pasando y ellos estén enterados también de eso. Vemos que ahora en las escuelas, en las iglesias también están pasando este hable con las personas, manténgase informados. Hay organizaciones que están siguiendo qué acontecimientos están pasando. Trate de buscar estas organizaciones, estar conectado para que pueda tener la información más correcta. Y otra cosa, no confíe tanto en notarios, no confíe tanto. Yo sé que los paralegales son personas experimentadas, pero a veces todavía necesitan la supervisión del abogado. Entonces, trate de conseguir, investigar un buen abogado, el abogado que tenga un historial bueno, que tenga, como dice la abogada, reviews buenas de su trabajo y ojalá esto, ustedes saben, esto acabe. Pero la preparación es importante, mantenerse en calma. Otra cosa muy importante, es, como les digo, es tonto que yo lo diga, porque estando en Estados Unidos y teniéndote que mover todos los días, teniendo que mover a los niños para la escuela, no manejar. Traten de no manejar lo menos que se pueda. Yo sé que es difícil, yo sé que a todos nos corren los piecitos a la calle, a la tienda, a visitar los amigos, a todos lados. Pero ahorita en este momento necesitamos parar un poquito el carro, a pedir a un amigo, a lo mejor a nuestros hijos, a que nos traigan el mandado o lo menos que puedan salir. Ustedes saben, lo menos tienen que cuidar su círculo familiar. Tenemos que cuidarnos nosotros para que nuestro círculo familiar esté bien, porque una situación de estas es muy difícil vivirla. También hablaba con la abogada Mel, si una persona deportada puede regresar a los Estados Unidos. Su consejo, su opinión es sí pueden regresar, pero tienen que examinarse las situaciones por las que fue deportado. Entonces, pues sí, hay muchas cosas. Esta plática es muy larga, hay mucho que tocar y es importante, pero ahora en este momento lo más importante es prepararse, saber cuáles son sus derechos, saber lo que tiene que hacer y lo que no tiene que hacer. Otra cosa, si usted se encuentra con un oficial de policía o un oficial de migración, no corra. No corra porque hay más agravantes a esto, a la situación. Entonces, usted sabe, mantenerse con la cabeza fría, a ser lo más respetuoso que se pueda, prepararse con su segundo plan, hablar con sus hijos, y pues tener mucha fuerza. Ojalá, como digo, esto pase y va a pasar. Simplemente son acciones políticas, acciones, no quiero ir más allá de política, pero que se están tomando nuevas administraciones, nuevas ideas, nuevas acciones. Entonces, solo cuidarse, y pues creo que eso es todo por mi parte pero si ustedes tienen preguntas, si ustedes tienen pues sí, preguntas. La abogada Mel, ella va a poner su información en nuestra página de Facebook y si ustedes quieren contactarla, pues llamen a hacer una cita. También hay otras organizaciones, entren en internet, busquen organizaciones sin fines de lucro en migración, allí va a aparecer el directorio nacional, en Atlanta. Y así, igual que en Atlanta, hay otros directorios en diferentes estados donde ustedes pueden encontrar ayuda, información, sobre estos lugares y pueden, consultar más. Les agradezco siempre que tengan la sintonía con nosotros, y recuerden, nosotros somos WCEG Tal Radio. Pueden encontrarnos en Facebook, en Instagram, en Smart TV, en YouTube, si ustedes quieren revisar nuestros videos, no solo el mío, pero también videos de otros de bueno, de nuestros presentadores en diferentes temas. Pueden encontrar todo allí. Thank you so much, Dr. Melanie, Attorney Melanie, I'm sorry. So there is some other information you want to provide to the audience today?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything. That's about it. Just stay calm. I know it's a world of panic right now, but try to stay calm and focused.
Yeah. Sí, entonces lo que ella dice es, traten de estar en calma, y pues prepárense. Otra cosa que yo quería añadir a esto, traten de no confiar en personas que les dicen, yo voy a aplicar, yo trabajo con migración, yo te voy a llenar una aplicación. Sé que afuera hay muchas personas que toman ventaja, pues de las personas que están en situación, de emergencia, que quieren arreglar un estatus en los Estados Unidos, pero he sabido de varias personas que llegan y te dicen, yo trabajo directamente con migración. Ustedes le platican su historia, estas personas dicen, yo te puedo ayudar, yo trabajo directamente con migración y te puedo llenar una aplicación. Te cobro tanto. Y por la desesperación, porque la gente no tiene información, porque no saben los procesos migratorios, ah, lamentablemente se creen de esto, pagan mucho dinero, 3,000, 4,000 dólares, lo que yo he sabido, y, y no hay nada. Y cuando ellos llaman a migración, ni siquiera tienen un caso. Entonces, tengan mucho cuidado con eso. Usen su juicio personal. Ah, un, un proceso migratorio no es tan simple como meter una aplicación y ya. Entonces, tengan eso en cuenta. So I was adding to this that people don't have to believe when a person come and say, I work with immigration and I can fill out an application for you. I was telling that it's not easy. Just like I'm gonna fill out an application and it's it.
No, they'll just take your money and they won't do it the correct way at all. And
Mm.
then obviously, now you do have to go to somebody that knows what they're doing, pay twice as much money to have them fix it. So yeah, absolutely. Don't just, take people's words for it. Ramona, one other thing that I wanted to stress that I did not talk about or we didn't talk about, if ICE comes to your door. So if you are in your home, all right, and ICE comes knocking on your door, you do not have to by right open the door. A lot of people think that, because it's kind of like the police and you have to open the door. You do not. Unless they have a warrant, and the warrant has to have the name of the person that they're looking for, okay, and that address on it, and it has to be signed by a judge. So make them put it up to the peephole, make them put it up to a window, make them slide it under the door, but they can't come in unless you open it.
Ujú. Otra cosa que la abogada dice es, no abran su puerta. El oficial debe de tener una orden firmada por un juez y el nombre de la persona que vive en esa casa. Para verificar si es una orden, de un juez, a mero abajo ustedes tienen que encontrar el nombre del juez, el título que diga judge o juez. Esos pequeños detalles, son cruciales. Entonces, pongan atención. Deseo lo mejor a toda nuestra comunidad inmigrante y prepárense, solo estén preparados, informados y que tengan a un lado persona que de verdad pueda ayudar y pelear para ustedes. Les agradezco mucho otra vez la presencia hoy en sábado. Si Dios quiere, los veo el próximo sábado con un nuevo conversación. Y que pasen muy buen sábado. Gracias. Thank you so much, Attorney Mel, for your information and your time to be here with us. Thank you also for the platform, WCEG Network.com. And I'll see you next month.